In the shadow of the world's tallest peaks, something moves where no human should be. Silent, watching, waiting. The locals speak in hushed tones of a creature older than the mountains themselves, covered in white, towering, and never far behind. They say it leaves no survivors, only footprints in the snow. Is it a myth born of isolation and cold? Or have we simply ignored the truth for too long? My name is Michael. In this episode, I follow the trail. But be warned, not all who go searching for the mighty Yeti come back. Welcome to Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast. This is Season 2, The Snapdragon Files, Episode 26, the season finale, Case File 100, The Yeti. Let's begin. The Yeti, often referred to as the Abominable Snowman, is a legendary ape-like creature said to inhabit the Himalayan mountains of Nepal, Bhutan, and Tibet. It is one of the most enduring and mysterious cryptids in global folklore, and one of my great-uncle's favorites. Origins in mythology. Tibetan and Himalayan beliefs. In ancient Tibetan lore, the Yeti is not just a wild creature, but a spiritual entity, sometimes considered a guardian of the mountains. The Sherpa people of Nepal have long told tales of the Yeti. They describe it as a massive, fur-covered biped that lives in the high-altitude snowfields and forests. The term Yeti comes from the Tibetan word Ye, rocky place, and Te, animal, roughly translating to rocky place bear or rock beast. There are a few types of Yetis from local myths. The Duzate, a large bear-like creature, possibly misidentified by real animals. The Mete, the most famous form, man-sized and ape-like. The Teima, a smaller, more elusive kind, rarely reported on, but just as deadly. Western fascination. In 1921, a British expedition to Mount Everest led by Charles Howard Bury reported large, unexplained footprints. The Sherpa guides attributed them to the snowman, which British media mistranslated as Abominable Snowman. The 1950s brought a surge of interest, with explorers like Sir Edmund Hillary and Eric Shipton reporting evidence including the famous Yeti footprints photographed. In 1951, there is much scientific skepticism. Most scientists attribute Yeti sightings to misidentifications of known animals like the Himalayan brown bear, langurs, or even snow leopards. Genetic studies of Yeti samples, hair, bones, etc., have often turned out to belong to bears, goats, or other local wildlife. But if you are to believe the reports, you know not everything that they say is true. My great uncle has proof that those results that they have told everyone in the public over the years to debunk the Great Yeti mystery, well, those results were fake. There have been a handful of Yeti accounts, like the Reinhold Messner's claim in 1986. Reinhold was a world-renowned climber, and on the Tibetan plateau, he claimed he saw a creature walking upright in the wilderness. He later theorized the Yeti might be a rare, undocumented species of Tibetan bear, but did not rule out the idea of something unknown. He spent years researching and even wrote a book, My Quest for the Yeti. In Nepal, monks have claimed to possess the mummified hand and scalp of a Yeti. Supposedly, parts of it have been smuggled out of the country for DNA testing. In 1990, those tests were inconclusive. Some hinted at a primate or human origin. In Serbia, a Russian expedition claimed to find footprints, hair samples, and a lair in a remote cave. In 2011, it was known as the Russian Yeti, or Almas, and they have terrorized local villages ever since. And Sherpa and Himalayan villagers have passed down oral tales for centuries of two-legged beasts that steal livestock, scream in the night, and only appear before avalanches or death. To them, the Yeti is not just real, but sacred and feared. And according to Project Black Garden, the Yeti is absolutely real. Now, my great Uncle Sam has ran into many cryptid over his career, and he has a love and hatred for the Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti myths. But according to this file, I think out of all the monsters and horrible things my great uncle has dealt with and seen, this particular Yeti just might be his favorite. I'll let you guys be the judge of that. We'll call this one the White Guardian. My great Uncle Sam had survived war zones, sabotage, and black site operations, even a failed marriage or two. But the mission in the Alps wasn't military. It was a search and rescue for a missing NATO satellite team. Their last signal came from deep within the valley, a place the locals avoided like a curse. My great Uncle Sam found the wreckage gear by day 3. Easy money for him. But what he didn't like finding was the blood in the snow and no bodies. He studied the area, took as many notes as he could, and tried to stay warm in the blistering, freezing cold. But he knew something was off. He knew he wasn't alone. And by nightfall, he knew he was being followed. He had discovered huge tracks, bear-like, but wrong. Too wide, too deep. He heard them too. Low huffs in the wind, branches cracking in patterns like suggested intelligence, not instinct. Definitely being hunted. The nights went on like this, getting a little worse each time, and his frustrations climbing with every hour. And finally, on the 4th night, his campfire drew them in. There were 2 of them. Gigantic, deformed bears. They were scarred and absolutely feral. bigger than anything he'd ever witnessed. Their fur was mangled like something half burned, half frozen, and they smelled awful. One of the bears rushed him, faster than anything that size should be able to. My Uncle Sam emptied his rifle. One bear fell, wounded, but it only seemed to enrage it. He stumbled to his feet, and my uncle prepared himself as the other bear roared as it lunged forward. A crash of fur and stink knocked my uncle off his feet, blinding him in the dark. Both beasts roared above him, panting, heaving, saliva splashing everywhere. He could feel the heat off their bodies, even in the impossible cold. And that's when he realized that he had dislocated his shoulder. And he knew he didn't have time to react for their next attack. So he huddled down and waited for the worst. And that's when everything changed. That's when the third figure stepped out of the storm. It wasn't human. It wasn't a bear. What it was massive. At least 8 feet tall. Its white fur laced with frost and old, dried blood. Its eyes weren't wild, but focused, with a kind of ancient wisdom and depth behind them. He knew instantly what he was staring at. A Yeti. With inhuman strength, it grabbed the charging bear midair, slamming it into a tree with a crack like thunder. The wounded one turned to flee, but it was too late. The Yeti tore into it with claws like knives, its roar shaking the ground. It pulled its limbs, shredding the massive bears into pieces of dinner. Blood and filth was everywhere. Fresh blowing snow was sticking to the carnage. But when it was over, my Uncle Sam was too stunned to move. He was in a lot of pain, confused, and not sure if he could get a decent shot off to protect himself from the new visitor. But without any more hesitation, he pulled his sidearm and aimed it at the creature. It didn't flinch. It just stared back at him, concentrating. It huffed with a puff of warm smoke, as if to say, "You're welcome." Then it turned and vanished into the mist. Uncle Sam fell backwards, took a moment to catch his bearings, and then proceeded to snap his dislocated shoulder back into place. The next day, my Uncle Sam was found half frozen near a mountain chapel. The locals had said he was lucky that most men who had seen the elusive mountain protector never come back. At the chapel, my uncle caught up on rest, and in his dreams, an old woman with pale eyes that were clouded told him that the Yeti has always protected us from worse things. But it is not kind. It's not human. If you disrespect the mountains, you will meet the part of him that kills. When he awoke, he heard the approaching helicopter of the nearest rescue unit, he was sure. Moments later, he was being debriefed on the mountain, but they insisted it was just a bear attack and that he was hallucinating. Officially, there was no creature in the Alps. My great Uncle Sam grew angry and short-tempered. He knew what he saw. Not only was the Yeti real, it was much worse and much stronger than anyone could possibly know. It wasn't just a beast, and it wasn't just a guardian. It was something in between. My Uncle Sam barely made it through the rest of the debriefing when more helicopters arrived. 4 of them, armed, brimming with elite military soldiers. Young strike teams. Apparently, the nearby general didn't believe his story, or just didn't like the fact that my Uncle Sam hadn't found his satellite team yet. But they did believe that something, possibly, had killed that crew and left 2 charred bears in shreds without heads. He heard one of the soldiers refer to it as a non-human threat. Apparently, they wanted it dead. Sam placed an arm on one of the young soldiers and said, "It's not what you think it is. It saved my life. It's not what you think." But the young, cocky soldier didn't care. Orders were orders, and he was just happy to shoot something today. By nightfall, they tracked the trail back into the haunted, icy gorge. Heat signatures flickered through the snow, and before you know it, one massive shape appeared, tall, still, and watching from a ridge. The young soldiers looked at each other and smiled. Target acquired. My Uncle Sam hesitated, hoping they would take a moment to assess the situation. But of course they didn't, as one of the young soldiers fired without warning. My Uncle Sam watched as the Yeti dropped behind the rocks, and then there was silence. The wind blew through the trees. The icy cold ripped at everyone's noses and ears, making it hard to focus. Then, in a blink, the Yeti came, fast, like a white blur. The first soldier barely had time to scream before he was torn in half. Not ripped, shredded. Another spun and fired, but the Yeti was already inside his guard, breaking bones like dry twigs. A third turned to run, but his skull was crushed before he could take 2 steps. Gunfire rang out and then fell away. Blood misted the snow. Shouts turned to screams. One soldier tried a flamethrower, but the Yeti hurled the body into the nozzle, igniting them both in a fireball of gore. Only my great-uncle stood, frozen, watching, staring in disbelief. And just as the massive Yeti walked up to the very last soldier on the ridge, ready to end the young man, who was now paralyzed with fear, the Yeti stopped and paused, looking back towards my great-uncle. Sam took a step forward, nodded his head that he understood, that he and his people were in the wrong, and that they just didn't understand. The Yeti took a moment. Its chest heaved, growing larger. Steam rose from its blood-soaked fur. It met my great-uncle Sam's eyes again, not with rage, but with something ancient and compassionate, almost sad, as if it knew. My Uncle Sam nodded its way, and it slowly stepped back into the dark, fading like mist into a snowstorm. My uncle placed a hand on the back of his neck and laughed. "See you later, Snowbaka." Later the next day, the NATO report called it a hostile cryptid. Sam argued with them again, calling it something else. The Yeti is so much more than what we think it is. he's the mountain's last protector. They interrupted him and said, no, he's a monster, and he murdered innocent soldiers. My Uncle Sam cut them off and dared. And we tried to kill it. What was it supposed to do? But no one would listen. His general had had enough and didn't want to hear any more from my great Uncle Sam. Apparently my uncle was put on unpaid leave for a significant amount of time after that incident. And according to the file, he never spoke with that general ever again. But he knows deep down, somewhere in the Alps, the Yeti still walks, still hunts, still protects. Not for glory, not for peace, but because something worse may one day return. And it is the only thing standing between us and the abyss. Alright, gardeners, I wanted to thank you all for being here for Season 2, the Snapdragon Files. It's been a successful season, and I'm excited to continue with another batch of secrets from the Project Black Garden. Now, I'm not sure how long it'll be until Season 3 is ready, but it's coming. I have to figure out a few things in my world right now. One, I have to protect the secrets that I've been entrusted with by my great uncle and my father. Two, behind the scenes, there's been intimidation tactics to get me to stop talking, or to make it seem like what I'm saying are lies and are crazy. With the advent of AI and the tech that keeps pushing the boundaries, it makes it harder for people to believe what they see. All I know is what I've been shown and the physical evidence that my family has inherited. I will keep it as safe for as long as I possibly can. Keep an eye out, though, for I will be looking into ways to prove the existence of these files beyond this podcast. And I hope to share more of my info sooner rather than later. But as for now, the rest of my family is as safe as they can be. I'm as safe as I can be. And my great uncle's truths and words will never be hidden again. So please, stay in contact. Keep me updated in all your lives. Report everything you see that's crazy and does not make sense. Believe in the unbelievable. I believe in you. And it has kept me sane, hearing your experiences, getting to know each and every other one of you who have discovered this podcast, who have embraced their secrets. Continue to contact me on any of my socials at Gardner Michael, or email me at pbgharvest@gmail.com. I'm always watching. I'm always listening. And fellow gardeners, you're gonna love what's next. So for the last time in Season 2, this has been Project Black Garden, a Monsters and Myths podcast Season 2, The Snapdragon Files. As always, I'm your host, Michael. And from the bottom of my cryptid heart, thank you for listening. Thank you for taking this journey. And remember, monsters are real. And I believe in you.